Hello, my name is Esther Turner, and in this video we will be looking at how to build and run workflows on DAFNI. Workflows underpin all our work on DAFNI. They allow developers and users to flexibly and intuitively run available models which have been stored on DAFNI. While in this video we will be looking at how to run a single model in a workflow, it is possible to run many models linked together. It is also possible to loop over other workflows within a workflow. Examples of these more advanced workflows will be demonstrated in other videos. As you can see, when we click on the View Workflows button, we are taken through to the list of workflows that are available to the user. These may be public assets, they may have been made available through groups, or they may belong to the user. In the previous video, we showed how you can add a model to DAFNI. In this video, we will show you how you can add that model to a workflow and then run this workflow. First of all, we need to click on the Create Workflows button, which is located in the top right-hand corner of the Workflows page. This will take you to the Create Workflows interface, which we can use to construct our first workflow using the drag and drop interface. If we click on the question mark next to Add Workflow Steps, we can see a short guide to using the Builder interface. The green boxes on the left represent models, which can be picked from those available to you on DAFNI. The burgundy box represents the data publishing stage, which controls the model output data, which we may wish to save to DAFNI. We can now build our workflow by left-clicking and dragging elements into place. We're going to use a model step and a publish step. We can then link these elements together by left-clicking and dragging between the boxes. Notice that both of the boxes are currently outlined in red. This means that there is still some work to do to fully set these up. We can select an element by left-clicking on it. When selected, notice that the outline of the box is now blue. We've selected our model element, and if we now scroll down, we can see that we have to select which model to use in this element. When we left-click on model name, we can select a model that has previously been uploaded to DAFNI. We're going to pick the one that was uploaded in the previous video showing you how to upload a model. We can also change the name of this element, which we will now do. This is good practice, especially if we have many models in a workflow. Now, if we click anywhere outside the boxes but in the patterned grid region, we save this information. You notice that the outline of the model box has now changed to black. This means that this step of the workflow is ready. If there had been any problems in what we had entered, the outline would still be red. Next, we click on the burgundy box to set up the data publishing step. Once again, we can rename the step to have a more meaningful name. If we scroll down now, we can see that there is a metadata section which applies to any output data that we produce. Filling in this section is very similar to the form we used for uploading data to DAFNI, which was covered in the data service video. We now fill in the various mandatory fields. These are the ones that are highlighted in red. Once this is complete, we can move on to fill in the final section, called Data Files to Publish. This section indicates which output data files we intend to record in the DAFNI database. Firstly, we click on the Add Row button. We then have to select the steps to include data from. As we only have one model, there is only one choice available here, which we now select. For the file path box, we enter outputs/*, which selects any files which the model outputs into that particular folder. An asterisk here is a wildcard which represents all files. A double asterisk will also include folders. When this is completed, we again click on the gridded area and the outline for the box will turn black. Once again, if the outline turns red, it indicates that there is a problem with the data that we have entered, which we need to go and fix. At this point, all the workflow steps should have a black outline, and we can then proceed by pressing the Continue button, which is to the bottom right of the gridded area. We now enter the metadata for this workflow, starting with the name we wish to give the workflow and the displayed name, which can be the same if required. We also enter a summary and description at this point. We also need to enter the publisher or the workflow author's name and contact details. The version can also be entered at this point. It is advised that you adopt a numbering scheme to keep track of any changes. You should also include any details about licenses and rights, if they are relevant, at this stage of your work. After filling in this section, click on the Continue button, which is in the bottom right corner below the version. We now continue on to the parameter settings. If we click on the model element box, we see all of the parameters used by this model filled in with their default values. These default values were defined by the model configuration file, which is the .yaml file uploaded alongside the model image. This was discussed in the model uploading video. In this case, these default values represent the irradiance at Cairo. We're going to leave these default values as they are, although if you wish, you can alter them at this point. You can also specify a dataset to be used with your model. As we're leaving these as the defaults, we again click in the gridded area and select the Continue button. We now need to enter our parameter set metadata, beginning with the parameter set name and the display name. We also need to enter a publisher and a description of the parameter set. Once we have done this, we click on the Upload Workflow and Parameter Set button, which saves the workflow and registers it with DAFNI. This workflow is now ready to run. We see that there is now an entry in the Parameter Sets section. To the right of the date published, there is a group of 4 actions. We can look at and edit a particular parameter set using the eye and pen icons respectively. To run a workflow using this parameter set, we can press the play button. This will then start the run, and this run appears in the list of instances. This particular run will complete shortly. The status will change to succeeded once the run has finished successfully. I've previously set off a run of this workflow, so if we now click on the workflow instance that has succeeded, we're taken to the workflow instance status page. If we click on the various workflow elements on this screen, we can see the parameters used in this model. And if we click on the publish element, we can go to the dataset created by this workflow by clicking the Go to Dataset button. When we do this, we go to a standard DAFNI data page where we can look at the metadata and download the output, which in this case is a JSON file. We hope this video has been informative and will help you in setting up and running DAFNI workflows.